cozy friends, and welcome back to Morgan Unraveled. My name is Morgan, and on this channel I like to unravel my anxious mind with my cozy hobbies, one stitch at a time. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, grab a project and a cup of something cozy and let's unravel. In this vlog, I just started knitting and vlogging. I never did an intro because I was just in a chaotic mental headspace and I just wanted to cast on something easy, mindless, but also take you along that journey. So it's many months later, we're living in a different house. I started this project back on February 25th. And my husband's birthday was only a month away at that point, and I was kind of wondering if I could knit this in time for his birthday. So I just got started, and life has just been very full and busy since then, so I never got around to editing this vlog, and now I am sitting here doing that, and it's time to film an intro. So let's talk about what I'm going to be knitting. In this video, I'm going to be knitting a sweater for my husband. I am going to be knitting the Lakes Pullover by Ozetta. It is a saddle shoulder construction, and it's meant to be knit with an oversized fit, but for my husband's preference, I'm going to be knitting it with less ease, probably only about 2 inches of ease or so. At the time that I started this knit, we had just returned from Bendigo Woollen Mills down in Bendigo, Australia. We took a beautiful road trip down to the Great Ocean Road from Canberra. So we were passing Bendigo, and it was my dream to get to see Bendigo Woollen Mills in person. And I did, and I actually got to shop their back room, which I didn't realize they had, and I got some discounted wool. I got alpaca fiber, which also isn't even available on their website most of the time. So I was just really surprised with the amazing stuff I was able to buy and add to my stash and knit with. Obviously, it's really special to get to shop Australian-made wool, and I'm really grateful I got to do so in person. I was able to purchase some of their wool in this navy blue at a discounted rate, and this is 100% wool, 10 ply. I'd say it's more on the Aran end of worsted weight, and that is perfect for this pattern. I have knit with both the luxury collection as well as the classic collection of Bendigo's wool, and I would say that this is a lot closer to their luxury. It has a more soft feel, and after blocking, it gets even softer. So I really love their wool, and I love this color. It's so perfect for what my husband was looking for in a classic navy sweater. The reason I chose the Lakes Pullover is, one, because I really like Ozetta's pattern and designs. This is my first time knitting from her, but I have so many of them favorited, and I really want to knit some of them for myself. I had already purchased the Lakes Pullover pattern to knit one for myself. I haven't gotten to it yet, but once I finished my husband's cardigan, I was really keen to cast on a sweater for him before winter here. Fall begins around April here, and so I really wanted to work on this sweater for my husband's birthday in March so that it would be a very timely, special gift. I did purchase 5 balls of this wool, but now that I know what size I'm going to be making him, which is size 3 or size medium for a 46-inch chest circumference, I definitely could have gotten away with only purchasing 4, but I didn't want to under purchase because I am going to be adding length onto the body for him. Since this is a women's sweater, it obviously is a little shorter on the torso than it would be for a man, so I wanted to buy more than enough. But yeah, spoiler alert, I have plenty of this yarn left over. But other than adding length to the torso, I don't believe I'll be making any modifications, and I will be following the trick of just using the saddle shoulder cast on to be the gauge swatch. I think that's all I have to share about the plans for the project, so without any further ado, let's get knitting. So I just finished knitting one of the shoulder panels. This is my first time knitting saddle shoulder, which is pretty exciting. And I basically followed the swatching technique of knitting the saddle shoulder as your swatch. So I haven't blocked it. I think I will because I'm having some swatching troubles. I definitely met stitch gauge. I'm getting 18 stitches in the 4 inches or 10 centimeters, but for my vertical, like row gauge, I'm getting 24 stitches instead of 28 like I'm supposed to get for the pattern. So now that I have finished this saddle shoulder, instead of it being the I think 8.5 inches I need it to be for my size, I'll reference that again. I'm getting like 9 or 9.5 inches. Yeah, I just referenced my pattern, and this is supposed to measure 8 inches once I knit the amount of rows I was supposed to knit. But I've completed those rows and it's actually measuring at 9.5. So that's a pretty significant amount of being off gauge, but only on the rows. I've honestly never followed a pattern where row gauge mattered this much, but this pattern specifically tells you how many rows to knit and then how many stitches to pick up along the shoulders. Definitely tricky. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Okay, time for an update. This is the shoulder panel I knit last night, the saddle shoulder panel, and I blocked it. As you can see, it's quite large and it was measuring too big. And once I blocked it, actually the stitch count also wasn't on gauge like I thought it was. So basically this was just a really oversized swatch, which is annoying, but again, it's really cool that the shoulder panel can basically be knit as a swatch. I just wish I had stopped halfway and blocked it to see how I was doing. But this morning I knit it again on 4.5 millimeter. The pattern suggests a 5 millimeter needle, but obviously I wasn't meeting gauge, so I went down a needle size. And I just finished reknitting the shoulder panel. It is unblocked, but as you can see, obviously it's rolling up, but as you can see, there is a size difference. Like this is shorter. So I'm thinking this is gonna meet gauge. So I'm probably going to knit this project on 4.5 millimeters, which is great because I had to steal my 5 millimeter needles off of one of my other projects so that I could even try swatching for this or try to start this project. So my 4.5s were free and I won't have to steal my 5 millimeters from another project. I'm just gonna block this after we chat so that I can see how it measures up, whether it's meeting gauge, and if it is, then I will just re-knit this one in 4.5 for the second shoulder and we'll be good to go with the Lakes pullover. Good morning, friends. It is now March and it is time for a little project update. It's been a few days and I think last you saw me, I was struggling to figure out what I was going to do about my gauge with the shoulder panels. Well, I've made progress. I have knit the entire back panel, which rolls up a lot. It's so hard to really see this project on camera because it's such a dark yarn. But I have knit the entire back panel with the armhole shaping and all the German short rows, which was really fun. I really enjoy a German short row. And I have also picked up stitches for the front and cast on the neckline. I actually did make a modification here on the front. Let me get it to focus. Of putting the increases 4 stitches in after the first 4 stitches. I don't know if you can see that super well. But it's to match the armhole shaping 4-stitch detail on the back. And I think that'll look very nice. It's obviously not written like that on the neckline in the pattern. But yes, we are now working on the front panel. I did put the shoulder panels on my husband's shoulder once working on the back. And I do think it's turning out to be the right length for him. I think I was putting a little too much concern into the row gauge, honestly. But I am knitting them on the 4.5mm needle. It's coming along really well, really beautifully, and I'm having so much fun making this. Funnily enough, literally everything I have added to my queue for this year is saddle shoulder, so I'm glad I'm enjoying this construction, but there are a million ends to weave in. Like, I have broken my yarn like 20 times at this point, and there's not much sweater here, so it's pretty crazy. Obviously, it's worth it for this beautiful construction. I've heard people say that, you know, there's so many ends to weave in on a saddle shoulder, but I thought it was just like the 4 from the saddle shoulder. But when you picked up the stitches from the saddle shoulders on the back, you then break the yarn immediately and slip stitches to get back to this middle section and start doing short rows. So again, another yarn break. And then when I worked the 2 little front sections before joining before the neck, I had to break the yarn on the left side as well. But it's coming along, and I will update you next time I have something to update.
There, but the pattern itself isn't available for sale. So I'm doing a workshop in Sydney in late 2018.
Time for a project update. The Lakes Pullover is now joined completely in the round, which is so exciting. And I actually got it joined in the round at the Australian Yarn Show yesterday. My, what a day. It was so special to get to be surrounded by fiber friends and meet some of you guys. That was really, really cool. And getting to meet Jamie from Jamie Creates and some of my local knitting friends here. Real talk, it was such an anxiety-inducing, like overstimulating environment. I am a very anxious person, and I know that this channel is all about cozy vibes, but we can't have the cozy vibes without like the realness too. Like, the reason we need this coziness and this comfort of making these videos and watching these videos and knitting is because life requires decompressing, and we as anxious people, or whatever it may be for you, need knitting. So I just wanted to share that yesterday, even though it was so amazing to get to experience that yarn show, it was also really hard. And I'm so proud of myself for going and stepping out of my comfort zone. But it was a challenge, and I was literally having to go find a corner to breathe in and try to not go into full panic. There were moments where I literally got so dizzy I thought I was gonna faint. There was moments where I literally thought I was gonna throw up in a trash can. But I had my emotional support friends, thankfully, and we were all feeling that way, honestly. And starting my new medication, I thought would help that not be as hard, but it actually made it harder because my heart rate was just so hard to regulate, being on new meds. But I do want to be real and share that. But yeah, it was literally so cool to get to shop around. I did buy yarn. I will pop a photo of it on the screen because it's tucked away in my sock yarn basket now and my son's asleep. I went into the day with the goal of only buying one sock yarn, and I did just that, and I'm so glad. I got this yarn from Cola Girl Yarn Collective, and she's based in Adelaide, so it was so cool that she came all the way here for this event. While we were at one of the workshops learning all about sheep, and then there was one about Ravelry functions, I was able to get this joined in the round, which was such a relief. Like, I didn't realize how close I was to it until we sat down, and I only had a couple rows, and then I was able to join in the round and not have any more purling. Not sure if you'll be able to see, but I did make some progress since joining in the round. And one of the local friends I met there actually gave me one of her stitch markers, which was so very sweet. And this project is really progressing, so I'm really excited. I'm having a lot of fun knitting on this. This is the perfect amount of mindless knitting I need sometimes. And it really helps me, like, it's almost like a form of meditation for me. So I'm really glad I've had this project right now and starting to hope that maybe I can get it done in time for my husband's birthday, but I'm not going to pressure myself. I'm just trying to enjoy this journey. The other thing I forgot to mention was that I am this close to finishing the very first 200-gram ball of yarn. So one ball of yarn of this Bendigo gets you really, really far. And after I finish this ball, I'm probably going to put the collar on before continuing the body or doing the sleeves. And I'm probably going to do just like I did with my husband's mill cardigan and take measurements from his favorite sweater that he already has and loves to decide on what length to knit the body and sleeves to. So that is the plan going forward, and I'm really excited to be finishing this first ball because that means I'm making a lot of progress. Hi cozy friends, it has been about a week since my last update, so let's talk about where I am in the Lakes Pullover. I am about 10 inches past the armhole, and the pattern I think said to knit 8, but that's obviously a women's pattern, so following one of my husband's favorite sweaters that he wears, I think I'm gonna knit 12 inches past the armhole before starting the ribbing, but I also am going to be basing it off of the length mid back too, so that may change, but I'm nearly there and that's really exciting. But I also have more real talk. I know last time we chatted, I shared that I was getting put on some antidepressants, and I think I shared that I have been on antidepressants. I was on them from 2016 to 2019, and I was on and off different pills to try to balance my mental health and hormones. I have PCOS. I've shared a lot about these things throughout my channel and throughout my Instagram. Today you're catching me on a better day, but last night was really hard. Just want to share that because I know I'm not the only one who struggles with mental health, and just that it's such a journey and it's such a struggle to just want something to help you, and then you're in this constant battle of feeling like you have to accept these side effects in order to balance this, but nothing's working, and it can feel really hopeless. And so I want to validate that feeling if anyone else feels it. And obviously I'm not talking about this from a place like I was last night, just sobbing because I felt like I was never going to get better. Just know that this won't feel this heavy, and I know I will get through this. And it's so hard when I feel like I'm in a much better place in life, but my brain still can't catch up to that, and like your body keeps the score of the traumas you've gone through. But that's where I'm at, and I'm trying to be soft and gentle with myself instead of giving myself a hard time for struggling, even though I think sometimes we can make ourselves feel bad that we're not grateful enough for our beautiful lives that we have if we're struggling mentally, because those two things can coexist. But anyways, yes, I am working on this lake sweater, and it has been the perfect mindless project to have while I have not been mentally having any capacity. Like, I haven't had motivation to knit much, but I had to take banana bread out of the oven. But I haven't had mental capacity for much of anything, and I've been trying to comfort myself in every way I can, whether it's watching my comfort Sims Let's Play YouTubers, or I'm currently rewatching Dexter. That's one of my all-time favorite shows, which doesn't seem like it would be comforting to watch. If you haven't watched Dexter, it's quite a fun show. But I'm really enjoying that rewatch. It's bringing me a lot of comfort. And when I feel like knitting, I knit. When I don't, I don't. And I've just been trying to get through the days a lot lately and feeling a lot more present in my life. I also have feeling a lot more escapism in my life too, like a little bit of both. But what I mean by presence is I have not been on social media besides like YouTube, which I don't really consider a social media. I have been trying to stay off like Instagram and things like that, just because I think it can take me out of my life in not a helpful way. Social media can make us feel like we should be doing more, whereas YouTube for me, or like watching a comfort show, makes me feel like this is all I have to be doing right now. I can slow down and watch this piece of media and let it comfort my soul. So that's what I've been doing to get by. And if you are ever in a negative headspace, give yourself grace to slow down, maybe take some time off social media, and just try to get through the days in a way that nourishes your soul. But I'm gonna get back to knitting and watching Dexter. We are long overdue for a Lakes pullover update. As you can see here, first let's address the first elephant in the room. We are in a new house. I actually put this project down for a little bit because I had been hoping to finish it for my husband's birthday, and then that wasn't happening. So because I still had 2 sleeves to go, and I ended up just casting him on a little beanie and making that for him. I will put a picture up here. It is the Olay beanie by Suzanne Muller. And then I ended up making myself one. I made mine in the Bendigo Woollen Mills alpaca yarn that I am making a Sophie shawl out of. So I've just been on some side quest projects, and I am back to working on this one now because it is starting to get a bit chilly outside now, and here in Australia at least. And I want to get this done and ready for him to wear. So a couple days ago, actually, I picked up for this sleeve, and in between editing the moving vlog, which will be out now by the time you're seeing this, I have been working on this sleeve, and I just bound it off this morning. It has a beautiful tubular bind off. It's quite stretchy, and my husband tried it on because he's working from home this week right after I finished the sleeve, and it was the perfect length for him, especially once I block it and it relaxes a little bit. So I'm really happy with how the sizing is coming out as well. And this yarn is just so nice. It's nice to work with, and I know it blocks out well because I already blocked these saddle shoulders and they're just so drapey, and it just looked really good on him. So I'm really motivated to pick up stitches for this second sleeve and get this whipped up. Usually sleeves take me 2 to 3 days max, so hopefully by the end of the week we are done with this sweater. But oh my gosh, we are really getting settled into this new place. It has come together. It has come together so beautifully. I sounded Irish there for a second. It's just so cozy here. It's so nice to have our own things furnishing this place instead of renting a furnished unit. I have taken this sweater down to the park a few times as I worked on this sleeve, and I hope to do the same with this one because the autumn leaves are so beautiful. Even though I knit the body a lot longer than according to pattern, since I'm knitting it for a man, I actually ended up knitting the sleeve exactly according to the pattern for the size medium, which is the size instructions I've been following, because my husband likes his sleeves to fall just above his wrist. He doesn't like them to go over his hand. So I knit it exactly to pattern for the medium, and it ended up exactly the length he wanted. And I used the measurements of one of his favorite sweaters to knit his items. And today when I went to the park, I actually wore his mill cardigan, which is one of the other knits I've shared on this channel that I knit for him. I feel like I've unlocked a cheat code by knitting my partner something that fits him but is an oversized knit for me to borrow from time to time. So I'm gonna make myself a little iced coffee and pick up these sleeve stitches so that we can finish this sweater. I literally feel like a cat sitting in the sun right now, but I am picking up stitches for this sleeve and wanted to note that when people tell you that saddle shoulders require a lot of weaving and ends, they are not joking, because not only do you have to break the yarn multiple times in multiple places for each sleeve, when you're knitting the shoulders, but also you have to break the yarn halfway through picking up stitches for the shoulders. Sorry if the traffic outside is loud. But yeah, it's gonna be more ends than usual to weave in, but I just think the construction is going to be so worth it. So I wanted to note that because I think I fell off with all of the move of updating about my feelings about the pattern. I am really loving the process of knitting it. It just is a little more I don't even want to say tedious, but it has a little more attention to detail than your typical like raglan or drop shoulder. I have now gotten these second sleeve stitches picked up, so I'm probably going to migrate to the couch and get cozy and try to work on these German short row. Say that 3 times fast. The German short rows at the top of the sleeve. I don't think I'll get to finish those during this nap. Most of my knitting that takes my attention and focus, I try to do during my son's nap. I don't think I'm going to finish the German short rows during this nap, but I will try to get them started. But I'm very excited to have the second sleeve on the needles now. I just pulled out of my stash what I thought was the last ball for the Lakes pullover, but I actually have an entire other ball after this. So I definitely bought too much because these are 200-gram balls. I won't even use all of this for the second sleeve that I am currently working on. So turns out I'm gonna have a lot of leftover 10 ply to turn into something else, and I'm gonna have to plan what that is once I know how much grams I'll have. We are getting so close to finishing the Lakes pullover. As you saw from some of the clips, today we drove to the Tidbinbilla Nature Reserve Park and we enjoyed the beautiful views driving around, and we played at the Discovery Park and it was so beautiful. And I got to enjoy the views while my husband chased our son around and I knit on his sweater. I think that's a fair trade-off, honestly. But I literally just did the last decrease on this sleeve. I know it looks short, but the ribbing is like 4 inches. So It adds up, I swear. And like I said, this sleeve fit him perfectly. But I just did the first row of 1x1 ribbing, so I'm literally about to finish this sweater and it feels so very good. I have so many ends to weave in everywhere inside of this thing, so the work isn't over yet, but I'm really excited to be wrapping this up because I already have a sneaky little order of Bendigo on its way. Yes, I hauled like so much Bendigo yarn when we were there, but I wanted to get yarn to make my son a Dagmar sweater because I am currently knitting myself the Dagmar zipper sweater. So you can never have too much Bendigo wool in your life. I'm literally using their bag as my project bag for this, and it goes everywhere in the house with me and everywhere we go when we leave the house. I honestly need to be a paid sponsor for them at this point because of how much I rep them. I absolutely love how this yarn and pattern are working up, so stay tuned, we're almost done. It's done. The Lakes pullover for my husband is now complete, and as you can see, it is perfectly sized for me to be able to steal it whenever I would like. Honestly, if I were knitting this for myself, I would have knit a few sizes up just to have that oversized fit. But I really love the construction of this garment, and I can't wait to knit one of these for myself. The saddle shoulder is just so classic and adds so much like elegance to such a simple knit. My husband loves this sweater. The only thing is he asked me to knit it to the length and pattern because he doesn't like the extra long sleeves like I do, but it does, as he wears it, kind of come up onto his wrist like a little shorter than bracelet length. So I do think I'll probably be adding on some more length, but that is not the fault of the pattern and really just me not adding extra for a man's length arm. But I did end up knitting the body very long, obviously on my torso, but for his, it's perfect. And as I've said many a times, anytime I'm knitting for someone else, I always take measurements from their favorite garments to be able to get lengths more correct, but obviously I was going off the script with these sleeves, so that's what happened there. I have to start by saying I absolutely loved the process of this knit. The construction was very unique and easy to follow. Ozetta leaves no room for error. There's so many details. It is so detailed because when you are at any given point in the pattern, it will say knit this many rows, and after that you should have this many stitches on your needles. It should be this amount of inches. And so even if you're knitting off gauge, which I know I had a lot of gauge issues in the beginning, I just didn't realize that even if you're knitting off gauge, it will be completely fine because she includes the amount of inches you should be knitting things to. So this pattern would be really easy to go off the grid with, which I actually saw What's Millie Making do recently. She knit a hot pink lace pullover with a bulky weight yarn, and she was able to adapt the sweater pattern to that off gauge very easily thanks to Ozetta including all of those details. So I wish going back I wouldn't have worried so much about gauge, but I am happy with the fabric and the drape of it. As I said, this is more of a heavy worsted yarn, so I'm not surprised I needed to size up my needle a little bit. The fit ended up being just perfect on my husband's chest. It was exactly what he was looking for, I believe. And the yarn blocked out very beautifully. I love the extra long cuffs as well as the tubular bind off. And I think all of the little details and the chunky collar really bring some structure to this garment. I already can't wait to knit another one of these for myself. In fact, I have since knit the Lakes cardigan v-neck, which just came out, for myself, and still need to get to the pullover for myself, but I did vlog that process, and that vlog will be coming soon as well. As far as this knit, I want to say absolutely 10 out of 10 in design and yarn choice. I'm very happy with it, and I think my husband is as well. But let's also talk about personal life updates. So much has changed since the beginning of this video, obviously, because it is now the end of June, and I started this vlog at the beginning of February. I ended up finishing this knit exactly 2 months later, on April 25th. And obviously that was a month late for my husband's birthday, but I ended up knitting him a hat instead, and he knew I was working on this and it wasn't yet fall anyways. So once the weather got cool enough, I added the sleeves on and he was ready to wear it. In the time since this video began, we have obviously moved house. It has just been one thing after another that led to this video never getting out, and I'm really trying to get my groove back with my channel, but things are pretty unsteady right now. My husband's job is kind of in between contracts at the moment, so this month has been pretty anxious for us. And in this past month, my sister has been here visiting me in Australia, so she came all the way from America and spent the entire month just exploring with us and also just relaxing at our house and getting to spend time with my son, who has grown like a year and a half since she last saw him. So that was a really special time that we really needed together. My husband's parents are going to be visiting us all of next month as well, so I'm definitely hoping to film a bit of a podcast update before their visit so that I can update you on all the things I've been working on lately, and we can talk about all the yarny things. I'd love to hear down below what you have been working on lately or what you were working on while you were watching. If you're not already, make sure you're following my Instagram, because when there is a long time in between my uploads, you can surely find me over there from time to time, keeping you up to date on what's going on in my life and what's going on in my knits. So I'd love to keep up with you over there. Thank you so much for spending today unraveling with me. Don't forget to do the things that help you unravel, and I will see you again soon. Bye, friends.